pass catchers Tom has had, you got to put Julian Edelman on that list. Now, part of me just wants to see him out there yelling and screaming, talking trash, just getting the team hype, bringing that different element that we haven't seen. But then there's part of me that knows what it's like to come off a break. Mine was due to injury, but it's similar with this. He's going to be hyped. I don't want him to be too hyped, though. Okay. I don't want him to hyperventilate where he's trying to do too much, because oftentimes players, when they step back on the field, they forget to just let the game come to them. But as far as like X's and O's and the expectations, I feel like we're going to see him go off. He's going to make plays, of course. He's going to get in the end zone. But more importantly, just his presence on the field is going to open up things for that offense. And I feel like Josh Gordon, because of that, is going to benefit off of Julian being on the field. Because if you're a defensive coordinator, you're going to have to focus and know where number 11 is.
Yeah, you know, I hate being a prisoner of the moment a lot of times, but I am. You know, Mahomes, I'm jumping through the wall. And Khalil Mack, I'm calling the greatest defensive player ever. I said the Rams wide receiver trio might be the best of all time.
Right.
I'm going to say something. It's not hyper. Like, I think Edelman steps right back in, and Edelman does just as he does. And I don't want to dismiss an ACL. I don't want to dismiss a 4-game suspension. This guy has to be bursting at the seams, and I think Brady's got to be just as excited. I think Edelman goes nuts tonight. I think it's one of those, yeah, he could have anything like 12 or 13 catches tonight, because the Colts play that cover 2. There's all that underneath stuff. And for Brady, you know, we talked all about Solder being gone and Amendola being gone and Dion Lewis being gone and Cooks being gone. He hasn't had Edelman either. Edelman's his guy. I think Edelman has a huge day today, whether Gronk's on the field or not.
You know, I had the stat yesterday that of all the wide receivers on the team, Josh Gordon leads them in third down conversions with 2, which is nuts and not sustainable. One game, a couple catches, that's it. So talking about Edelman and how long he's been gone, I think we've kind of forgotten how long it has been. So to timestamp this thing, I was curious as the last time Edelman had a catch in a game. Bring it up, guys, because we know he missed all of last year and then he had a suspension. This is the Super Bowl 51. This is an overtime. This is Edelman's last catch, and I think it's a classic Edelman. This was second down. They lost a few yards on first, and it was 15 yards. Mike George just said short area quickness. That's what we had right there. And guys, just to timestamp this, he's out there with Malcolm Mitchell, waived by the team. Dion Lewis, now with Titans. Danny Amendola, now with Dolphins. Martellus Bennett, now with the Imagination Agency. This is how long this has been. This is what they've been missing. That's why Josh Gordon leads you in one game with third down conversions, because the coverage is perfect, the route is perfect, move the chains in overtime of the Super Bowl. If he can do it there, I think he can do it tonight.
There's so many explosive offenses that we've fallen in love with, being prisoners of the moment, which we love being. The Patriots haven't had that sizzle. There's been no pop to this offense and this passing attack all season long. He defines that. That is who he is and what he takes on and the role he has, whether he's on the field or off it in that locker room. We've seen it in clip after clip. We're even going to show you guys some of his, best of a little bit later on in the show. But that's just who Edelman is. So we're talking more and more about this game and this matchup with Mike Giardi up in Foxborough. It is a classic AFC rivalry tonight. It's Andrew Luck and the Colts taking on Tom Brady and those Patriots. Colts, Pats, when it's on.
It's on.
Thursday Night Football tonight at 8 on NFL Network on Fox, and you can stream it on Prime Video as well. All right, let's move on to some running backs, guys. They are dominating news headlines heading into Week 5. Jags head coach Doug Marrone confirmed yesterday that Leonard Fournette will not play against the Chiefs due to his injured hamstring. Zeke Elliott, Devonta Freeman, and Joe Mixon all dealing with injuries, but are all expected to go this week. And finally, let's welcome back Mark Ingram. He's eligible to return following his 4-game suspension. So speaking of Ingram, how about Sean Payton joining NFL Network's playbook to talk about his return to the Saints lineup and what that means for Ingram and company?
Well, hopefully he can take some of the ice bags off of Alvin. I think that Mark's an important part of our team. He's a physical runner. And I think in today's game, it's hard when you're lining up getting the bulk of any carry or any throw. And so we had a real good mix last year with those two players, and we'll look to achieve the same thing with Mark back now. It's great having him back.
I mean, it's got to be hard to take the ball away from Alvin Kamara. Champagne problems for Sean Payton here. He's currently on pace, Kamara, to have the best PPR fantasy season of all time.
Look at that.
It's so
incredible.
It's insane.
All those Canton logos.
I mean, but that's not just running backs. That's just of all players. Of all players at any position ever, Shrakes.
That's unbelievable.
When you're looking down on Priest in a fantasy category, you're lighting the world on fire.
How then, and we had him on our top 3 players if we made a top 100 player list, Peter and I, how do you handle Ingram coming back? How could you possibly be like, we're going to limit you now, Kamara?
Yeah, you're going to have to because of the balance that we saw last year and how good they were last year. There are games where Drew Brees lit up the skies, and there are games where he completely depended on that running game.
Yeah.
And that's what made this team so hard to stop. You know what I love about Mark Ingram? He might not have the crazy numbers statistically that are going to grab the headlines, but if you look at the footprints of the game, his footprints are all over it. And what we're seeing right now, we're talking tough, hard-fought yards. I mean, of course, he can explode on the outside and run with the best of them, but this is what they're going to miss. We love Mark Ingram. I mean, he can catch better than most running backs that we've seen in the past 15, 20 years. But the stuff that we're seeing right now, you guys see those hard-fought, in the gut, 3 yards in a cloud of dust runs? That's what brings balance to this offense. And it has to mean heaven for Alvin Kamara. It has to be in heaven for Drew Brees. And also Mike Thomas, who's lighting up this league. So the balance you'll see with him back on the field, that's just in a message to this league that the Saints haven't even scratched the surface of how good they could be this year.
When I grew up, I loved the WWF, now called the WWE, and there's something called the Royal Rumble, where every minute or so, a new wrestler would enter the ring and they would try to throw the guy out, and it was the last man standing. I feel like the Chiefs and the Rams offense were the first ones in the ring, and now here we are entering week 5. Ding, ding, ding. Here come the Saints running like the ultimate warrior with Mark Ingram. They're finally whole. Like, they're finally – we're talking Chiefs, Rams. Oh, the offense. They get a all-pro type player back in week 5 who is healthy and who is completely rested. And I'm looking at the Saints schedule. It's not easy coming up, Kay. We got the Redskins, who are 2-1, and then they go to Baltimore, not easy. They go to Minnesota, never easy. They have the Rams after that, and then the Bengals, who are 3-1. That is a gauntlet, and now they're finally at full strength. I can't wait to see Mark Ingram back, because I think the Saints were an A- offense, and they have historical numbers from Kamara and Thomas and Brees. Now they are an A+ offense, and they get their core back. They're finally whole. Watch out, Rams and Chiefs. This offense is coming.
Nobody scored.
Here comes Mark Ingram.
The Rams and the Chiefs. Number 3 is the Saints.
Saints, wow. Is the Arizona Cardinals, are they the Bushwhackers?
They're the Bushwhackers. Cardinals and 49ers are the Bushwhackers. Right out the ring.
All right, well, I'll segue from that to this. When I was 21 years old, I went to an Outkast concert, and I didn't know much about Outkast at all. I really did not know them at all.
Go on.
I got there, I got really close to the stage, and they come out, and first Andre comes out, and he's got a purple mohawk, and he's got these reflective
shoulder pads.
And I'm going like, oh my God, it's the coolest rock star I've ever seen in my life. That to me is Kamara. Shortly thereafter, Big Boy comes out.
Talk about it.
Big Boy's cool. He holds it down, but like he's a little laid back. He doesn't have the eccentricities and all that. But as you listen to them do the set, Big Boy's doing his thing, and you can see that they work together. And I'm like, these guys are like a glam band that is a rap duo. Kamara is Andre and Ingram is Big Boy. They work better together, guys. As the season goes on, I think we're going to see this. I get so seduced by Kamara. I think he's incredible. If you look at the numbers, they're passing about 2/3 of the time right now.
Yeah.
Last year, when they had it going, they were passing just about half the time, which is a massive difference, and that's Ingram. Look into last year. When they started struggling out of the gates, they turned to number 22. He carried them. He finished. They're better as a duo.
But they're not struggling now. They're 3-1. They were 2-2 last year.
Don't know if it's sustainable.
Okay, I believe that. But let's give Alvin Kamara his credit.
Spectacular.
Leads the league in yards and touchdowns and is on an incredible place. So they might work well together, but it's not like Kamara doesn't work well alone.
No, he's great. The Love Below is fantastic by itself, too. I agree. He's a superstar.
We
but
love
Steve
roses,
Fox is good.
but I like having both
He's
of them
215
together.
pounds. It's week 4. Yeah. I think they could probably go right to the playoffs with just Kamara, but I think to go to the Super Bowl, I think they need Ingram.
What's it like to walk onto the field, into the room after 4 weeks off and get right back on the field as a running back? You play this position.
I think you want to know how much you're going to get the ball. I think because especially in a tandem, it's difficult. Because if you're the guy, if you were Le'Veon to come back in week 1, you know I'm going to touch it all the time. Ingram, you want the ball, you want a ball early, and I think you want to get that first big hit. We're going to know when Ingram's back. It might not be in the first carry, it might not be in the 6th. There's going to be a play where Mark Ingram is back, and then we'll see it. We'll know when we see it.
You love speaker box, but ATLians has a different kind of
Hey, I'll take it back to the original offense. I mean, the original album and the Southern playalistic New Orleans Saints funky offense.
That's it! My man.
We'll be back after this. We're going to talk more about the games on Sunday. Of course, there's Thursday football tonight, and he struggled against the Chiefs defense, failing to throw for a touchdown the entire game. So what can Case do to ensure the Broncos get a win this week against the Jets? We are, of course, going to get that. But, guys, we have to talk about Brees, don't we?
Yeah.
We can't go to break yet. Oh, my goodness. Drew Brees is on a record pace. He's about to beat it, isn't he?
He's got, guess
I think
what?
we have a full screen for it.
What are the numbers here? He's about, I think, 200-something yards away From breaking all the records when it comes to passing yards, and it might happen Monday night, he's right there knocking on the door. And this is, again, you're looking at that Alvin Kamara screen with just Canton logos. Right. These are 5 Canton guys, and Brees is going to be a top. And it leads to that question, do we not appreciate Drew Brees enough?
100%. There's enough.
To me, what I've seen with Brees and this stat board and all of this, I'm just like, you're a 6-foot quarterback. For me to see that and say, not that he paved the way, you had guys like Russell Wilson, Baker Mayfield, Kay Adams looking up to you and saying, for the shorter people who are told we can't, you can't do it. I'm Russell Wilson, I'm never going to make it. Drew Brees was told that his entire life, and now he's about to set that record. That's something very special.
It is, because, I love Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Those guys are tall, they're towering. I mean, I think it's worth asking if Drew Brees is the greatest quarterback of all time. And I can make a case, I think, over everybody except for Brady. I think Brady has that because he's done it outside and he's done it for longer and he has more rings. Drew Brees or Peyton Manning, I'll take Drew Brees right now, 100%. Wow. There's been 9 5,000-yard seasons. He has 5. He's never had the Marvin Harrison for his whole career. He hasn't had the Edgerrin James his whole career. I think Drew Brees is wildly underrated, and we'll appreciate him when he retires.
Yeah, when you look at these young hip-hop artists, they're a flash in the pan. They don't last a long time. But some of our main staples, they last forever. The Jay-Z's, the Nas's, those guys will forever be classics. And that's Drew Brees because he's evolved with time, just like a Jay-Z, just like a Nas, just like a Snoop Dogg. You look at Drew Brees, he's been able to adjust to the game. I mean, he came in when there wasn't the quarterback rule and protecting the QBs. He was taking shots. You remember when he had the shoulders and elbows and we thought he wasn't going to last another couple years? This dude is still throwing at a fantastic rate. And then he's had more talent on his offense. And last year was the perfect example of a guy saying, all right, yeah, I'll put my rifle arm on the shelf for the betterment of this offense, and that shows a guy that can evolve with the talent that surrounds him. A lot of quarterbacks can't do that. A lot of quarterbacks are like selfish rock stars, and they want the stage, and they want the microphone. He's like, I'll play the background for a little bit if that means that we're going to be successful. That's what makes him great, his adjustment over time.
He was a free agent. He was going to visit places. He visited the Miami Dolphins. They say, we can't put money into you because of your shoulder. We don't feel confident. He goes on and wins the Super Bowl with the New Orleans Saints, their only Super Bowl in franchise history. He is the embodiment of New Orleans. He's the embodiment of the Saints. And to Kyle's point, he's up there with Manning and Brady. He's right up there. And in this generation of quarterbacks, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And I don't think maybe he gets the same recognition that he should.
201 yards away from being the NFL all-time passing leader. Drew Brees, we see you, and we are here for the ride. We'll be back right here on Good Morning Football. Willie McGinnis joining the show, our guy. Hall of Fame, let's see, who's going to Hall of Fame? Patrick Mahomes, is that true? No, Case Keenum, probably not yet, but it's Broncos against the Jets. Fantasy owners have a tough time starting Aaron Rodgers this season. Guys, will he be a top 10 quarterback after week 5?
Is Rodgers going to go in the shredder?
Wait till you see who the shredder is.
Really?